welcome to episode number 37. Episode number 37, man. We are cranking of the Bald Avenger Show. I am Jason Cisneros, also known as the Bald Avenger, the tattooed guru, the king of the Misfit Nation, and a legend in my own mind. I'm a legend in my own mind. That's for all of you that think I'm arrogant. I'm not arrogant. I'm just convinced. But that's for, I have to throw that little joke in at the end. It's kind of like legend in my own mind. So tonight is going to be an interesting, those of you that are joining me, some of you are joining me now at the get up at 4:30 in the morning, which again, I'm sort of an early riser. So I get up. It wasn't Anchorman. Oh my God, Emily. Where's my button? Nah, she loses. It was not Anchorman. Same actors, but it was the legend of Ricky Bobby. He was on screen. His hands just kept coming up. So judges, will you take 2 points away from Miss Emily Seelman, please? Thank you very much. The name of the movie is not Ricky Bobby. It's the legend of Ricky Bobby. So anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, so some of you are joining me at this 4:30. It's not like a thing, but some of you are doing it. Getting up at 4:30. I'm usually up really early, but getting out of the house. So I set it at 4:30 in the morning to get up and out of the house by 5, doing some sort of physical activity. So it's been crazy because you're sitting around like at 8 o'clock in the morning and you're going, well, now what? What do we do now? Talladega Nights. There we go. That's the one. That is the one. What's up, Kimberly? Good to see you. James Jacoby's in the house. Everybody give him a what? Good to see you, buddy. All right. So tonight, it's been crazy because getting up that early, it leaves a lot of time, especially getting up. It's dark. I'm out doing bleachers or sprinting on the football field or whatever until everything opens up. And there's a lot of time to think and come up with a lot of really great content. And you're up at 4:30 p.m. So it's just been a crazy week. Just a crazy week. Tomorrow will be day 5. So it's been a crazy 4 days of how much content comes to me in the morning. And so I'm walking around like a crazy man. This morning actually was the first time that anybody else was on the track. Anybody else was running the bleachers at that early. It was like 5:15 or whatever. And I noticed it was like one of those creepy moments, like when I was walking around the track and it's super dark and somebody snuck in from the top and they weren't sneaking. I mean, what do they have to sneak for? But to me, it was like they snuck in. They didn't say, hey, whoever's down there doing a Facebook Live right now could just know that I'm up here. So I'm walking around, I'm all intense and I'm talking and I'm walking by and I see a shadow and I'm like, murderer, maybe? So anyway, you just got to be careful of your surroundings anymore. So what's up, Christopher buddy? All right. So tonight's subject, keeping us stupid. This is it's critical information. So whether you are first-time listener, whether you're listening to this on the replay, whether you're listening to it on iTunes, wherever you're listening to it, this is radically important information. And as I was going through it, I think back again, I relate everything to my journey, right? Hi, Teresa. Hi, Jackie. But I relate everything back to my journey and wishing, like, why do I do these podcasts? Why am I doing these shows? Why am I doing the stuff that I'm doing? It's to help. Like, most of it goes back to thinking about teaching myself when I was younger, right? Hearing a message from me, and I think about myself, a lot of energy. I had a real big desire to want to succeed. I had, a decent intellect. I was desirous of learning. And I think to myself, this is why the messages go out. I know eventually they're going to hit somebody like me, because back then, and that was why this information is important. And especially as you go back all the way through history, that the right information, right? The right information being given to people, it's been illegal. Think about this for a minute. It's been illegal throughout history for women to read, to pick up books. It's been illegal, right? At different times. It's been illegal. So controlling information and who gets it has constantly been a control point in every single era of every single decade, of every single year, of every single day since whatever you believe about creation. It's been a point where people are controlled. And the people that are in control are the ones that are controlling the information. Think about this, y'all, and I'll drive to it here in just a second. Last year or the year before, I'm not exactly sure which one. This year or the year before, this last year or the year before last, data became more valuable than oil. Think about that for just a second. Data became more valuable than oil. That is a crazy concept for you to grasp, right? It became, so all the oil in all the world that's running the world, data made more money. It's worth more money than freaking oil. So now you start to think about it from that perspective, that information is radically valuable. So you think about what throughout history, I'm going to try to keep myself on point because I'm so fired up about this subject. But the topic is keeping us stupid, how keeping us stupid makes us controllable. And so if you go back through history, again, ancient scrolls, all the way they were controlled by the medicine men or the kings or the knights, or whoever was controlling that society controlled the information. It controlled the written language. And then you fast forward, it was illegal for slaves to read in this country, right? It was illegal. Why? Because knowledge is power. And think about that practical application. Where are you applying that principle? That's a fortune cookie. That is a fortune cookie that you open up and you say knowledge is power, until you sit back and you actually realize that data was more valuable than oil, y'all. Think about that. Knowledge is power. What are you doing with that information? So throughout history, control of information has been a form of control. Women controlled because they weren't given information. They weren't given access to reading. And that's how mankind controlled their women. They controlled everything, really. It was illegal for minorities, right? Minorities or slaves to have access to information. And then you fast forward into the printing press, where information started to be the great equalizer, where somebody that was lowborn, right, could read the same amount of information or the same information as somebody that was highborn. And that's where you start to see that democracy sort of starting to come in through history. Is holy shit. Now we have blacks, whites, Hispanics, men, women, everybody having the access, right? Access, it's a key component here, access to the same information. And science now has told us that all of our brains were all built similarly, right? Which is why when people make decisions about the intelligence or the makeup of somebody by the color of their skin, now we can look at them and tell them that they're the fucking stupidest people on the face of the planet. If you think that you can determine one's intelligence, effectiveness, impact, all of that by the color of their skin, or by their gender, or by their sexual preference, or by what religion they study, it doesn't give you any indicator as to their net worth, so to speak, right? And I speak of net worth as in the data, the knowledge, the intellect, all of the things that make up our potential, right? So as you think about that, what does define us? What does define us? What information? So I want to keep this on point. So when information became readily available to everybody, now how do you control it? I don't know if Jim's on here tonight, but everything of value can be used as a source of control, right? I've been in Africa. I've seen where when we're trying to bring food to starving people, where the controlling tribes or the gangs or whatever in the area will not let people through. They'll threaten them with their lives because food getting to people means that they lose their control, right? Food, knowledge, information, water, oil, energy, access to cell phones, all of these different things put people in a position to be able to control another portion of society. So knowledge, though, became readily available. The internet obviously has spun out to where you and I could have this conversation, right? Somebody like me. Now let's hone in on that one point. Somebody like me that snuck through the back door of success. There was never I have the wrong last name. I lived in the wrong zip codes. I have the wrong pedigree. I didn't know the right people, right? Where you could, all of this shit where I snuck in the back door and became successful. And the thing that pisses most of them off, if you think about it, is that I didn't have to fucking ask permission. I didn't have to ask permission. I didn't have to kiss anybody's fucking ring. I just went to work. I applied intellect, knowledge, right, into my activities. I took responsibility for myself. I locked in on when I was doing well. In other words, I had an objective and I said, am I getting closer to it or further away from it by my own behavior? Not by my skin color, not by my gender, not by my upbringing, not by who my parents were, not by what zip code I lived in, not by what car I drove, but by my practical application of the knowledge that I can pick up through books and CDs and seminars and conversations and put myself in the right environment to learn and to change my stars, to change my station in life, right? So what happens when that knowledge comes to somebody like us? Like, that's why I'm the emissary, right? Just think of it. I joke about being the king of the misfit nation, but I'm an emissary, y'all. Those of you that are trying to be successful that have all the wrong fucking pedigrees, I'm your guy. Like, I'm your guy. I'm here. Like, I know the shit. I know the shit that happens. I know the secrets that they try to hide from people, right? That they try to keep it out there. Now, how do they try to hide information from you for keeping for you achieving your version of success for your life? Okay. We all have different ones. Now, first thing you got to do is accept that. If somebody doesn't want what you want, then does it make them wrong? No, it doesn't make them wrong. It just means that they want something different than you want. So how do they control us to keep us from getting that? Because you can see where money is centered. You can see where power is centered. You can see with your own fucking eyes after tonight. If you can't see with your own fucking eyes, you'll see after tonight's show how you can see with your own fucking eyes where all of that power, wealth, influence, all that kind of stuff, where it gets centralized. And here's what they're doing, right? And think about it from your perspective. Don't just listen to my words, y'all. This is what I talk about a lot on these shows, is listen to the content, absorb it, and then go back and listen to it and figure out how you can apply it to your own life. Because it's in the application where it changes your behavior that really it matters. If not, if a piece of information is consumed and it doesn't change anything about your behavior, was it really consumed? Is it really something that you should hold as a value? There's two types of information that you're given these days. One is manipulative, and the other one is a recording, so to speak, of a pathway to success. 99% of the shit that we're picking up on the internet that we're being told is all manipulative bullshit, right? And then there's 1 or 2% that are actually giving you information from a pathway that has been walked, right? That spins off genuine experience. That's what you should be searching for. Now, keep in mind that each and every one of you has 5,000 Cambridge Analytics. There was a show, and I can't remember the name of it. Somebody that remembers the show about Cambridge Analytics, go ahead and put in whatever that show was. But every one of you, me included, has 5,000 data points that are out there. that anybody could buy. Anybody that wants to buy your information has 5,000 data points on you. So how do they control you? Now, in the old days, they controlled you by not giving you the information, by withholding information, valuable stories, valuable how to create fire, how to create the wheel, the chemical makeup of oil and gas, and all of these different things that was within. Now everything's out there. Right? It's a great equalizer. So how do they take that information and control you now? One is narratives, right? One is a narrative. What narrative have you decided to believe and to buy off on so much that you now can be controlled because you bought a narrative from someone or a group of someones so that you could feel like you belong? In comparison to being able to hold two conflicting ideas in your head, right? And I'll get into two very, very strong examples of that here in just a second. So narratives, where have you decided to buy a narrative that you no longer are a threat to someone's position because you're buying a narrative and are therefore somebody's puppet? Where is it? How about us versus them? They call it the straw man thing, right? Us versus them. Where have you bought off on the fact, Democrat, Republican, it's out there right now, all this disgusting bullshit that's going on with blaming politicians and everything about these mass murderers and all these other things that are, when you think about them, and this is not a political, I'm staying away from commenting on that on this particular show because I don't want your narratives to overwhelm you. No matter what side you've decided to come down on, that's not what this show is about. I have an opinion, a very strong one, but that's not what this show is about. I don't want your narratives or your straw men to come in and to block the knowledge or the learning that I'm pushing out there to you tonight. Okay. So, third thing is distractions. Okay. Distractions. The shorter your attention span is, and they say that it's actually shrunk to like 15 seconds. I'm talking to some people, some big people in the entertainment world that are saying 15 minutes of content is too much. 15 minutes of content is too much. Because we've entered a time frame where now we can be distracted by 15-second messages. What the fuck are you going to learn in 15 seconds? What are you going to learn? You're going to be distracted. You're going to be entertained. You're going to become no threat to anyone because your intellect is never going to engage because it takes longer than 15 seconds for you to think about anything. Think about it, 15 seconds. 15 seconds goes by very quickly, but we're distracted by a cat. We're distracted by a fight, like a street fight. We're distracted by whatever it is that we get distracted by. That's another way that, because all of the information's out there, it's the same thing. If you don't choose to dive into knowledge and use it to change your behavior and to improve your own results, you might as well not even have the capacity or the access to read or to have stuff to read. You might as well not even have it. It's just as bad as not having it as to have it and choose not to engage in it. Because you're what? Tired? Because you're too busy? Because what? Because what? Whoever's in the Misfit Nation, I'm automatically assuming that that you're a leader of someone or you're attempting to become a leader of some people, right? Whether that's your family, whether that's yourself, whether that's you in the mirror. I'm assuming that Misfit Nation is looking to ease suffering in the world. And that means you've got to lead, right? You have to first deal with your shit. You have to then forgive yourself. And then you have to move on and start to try and do things differently so that you get different results in your life. That's holding yourself responsible. Okay. And so you've got to lead at least one person, and that's you in the mirror. And if you're being distracted all the time and you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to sit down in front of the television. Oh, I'm distracted by Facebook and so on and so forth. Don't get me wrong. Facebook and social media and the democratization of information. There's people that I have friends that have children in Africa that are doing more with the freedom of information than anybody watching this right now. They're doing more with it, and they're more grateful for it, and they're applying it, and they're so excited because they're thinking to themselves, holy shit, I can learn math. I can learn investing. I can learn business. I can learn English, French, Japanese, Chinese. I can, whatever it is that I can absorb into my brain, it's readily accessible to me at my fingertips now, right? I was out in the middle of a jungle in Ghana, and I went by the side of the road and I saw this kid that was selling some gold on the side of the road. And I knew in my head, I knew what London Spot was. And so I offered, like a discount or whatever off of London Spot. And he goes, no, he pulled out his cell phone. He goes, no, London Spot is whatever the price it was that day. He wasn't having none of my nonsense. He wasn't having none of it. It was a 9-year-old kid. It was a 9-year-old kid on the side of the road, knowing what London Spot meant, knowing what it was up to the time. And he wasn't having none of my bullshit of trying to get a discount on this gold. So that's democratization, and they're doing more with it than us. So distractions. What are you distracted by? What are you frustrated by? What TV channel are you watching that comes on in a commercial and it tells you that ache in your elbow might be herpetogonocephalitis? But now it went from there to your shoulder, so now that might be cancer of the earlobe or whatever. What are you distracted by, and why? What are the things that you're being told? Who's around you that is keeping you distracted? What messaging is keeping you distracted? Second, the other thing that they can do is they can flood the market with information, too much information. You're told, I think it's 5,000 marketing messages every single day, 5,000 marketing messages every day, hitting our eyeballs, hitting our senses in one way, shape, or form or the other. And so flooding the market, pitting us against each other. That's another way, right? That's another way to keep us controllable and stupid. Is me, as long as I'm angry, Jason Young, you son of a gun, your skin is a different color. You live in a different part of the world. You sound different. You smell different. You eat different things. How dare you be married to a woman? When there's the gay agenda you need to stand up for, or if you're a married straight white couple and you're like, how dare those gays and how dare those blacks and how dare those Mexicans, and it's just all pure distraction, right? Pure distraction. And they're pitting us against each other. The whole idea behind the Bald Avenger, why it even started in the first place before it even was the Bald Avenger, was I wasn't hearing this shit anywhere else. And so I decided to get the Facebook Live, and you should see the first one. I kept it for posterity's sake, but I was doing it and I couldn't figure out the screen and all this other kind of stuff. It was moving around. And I was like, here's some shit that I am not hearing anywhere else. And it kind of went on from there. It just kind of went on from there. I'm still not hearing. Great. We understand that we have it's the information age. There's an entire, like right now, if you watch Tony Robbins and the other guy that's with him now, and they're talking about the knowledge industry, right? Making money off of what you know, the knowledge industry. But you got to have some knowledge, right? It's got to be practically applied. So we'll get into that at the very, very end of how you practically apply that. Digital data makes you predictable and therefore ultimately controllable. 2016 Cambridge Analytics said that 5,000 data points on every single American. And again, they're out there. Oh, it's the Russians. It's the Russians. No, Cambridge Analytica was doing work for the Republican side. Remember when Obama won, he had his version of Cambridge Analytica, and then the Democrats basically had like Facebook, and they have them directly. So what the Republicans did was they decided to formulate and put together. Steve Bannon was the guy that actually did it, and to put together their war for data on the Republican side, so they could even the playing field. And And so they were bragging that they had 5,000 data points on every American. But remember where they get them from. They get them from Facebook and from the Snapchat and wherever you go on the internet, it's tracked. And so here's the crazy thing, right? If you want to be a leader and you want to make an effect and impact change, you have to be able to process multiple data points yourself in your own brain, or else you're just going to become a habit machine that becomes predictable. You're just going to be predictable. Now, what happens when you step out of predictable? If anybody gets a chance, Neil deGrasse Tyson is kind of a darling of the left. He's a brilliant scientist, but he's very progressive, let's say, right? Brilliant. No judgment on the man whatsoever. Again, this is not a political thing. But he came out and he said, look, there's been 48 murders or whatever it is from these two incidents, one in Dayton and down in El Paso. And he said, did you know that there's 500 people that pass away from drunk driving every day or in the same 48-hour period of time? And he basically just put out a narrative that said, y'all are being controlled by your emotions. Exactly the point of this show tonight. That's all he did, is just point out the fact that said, why aren't you emotional? Like, if it's that emotional, why aren't we diabetes, right? How many people die from diabetes? I don't have his data points right in front of me. I should have written them down. I apologize. But you can go find his tweet, unless he's been mob shamed into taking it down because he put up his actual opinion. I may have snapshotted it, actually. It might be worth me looking through my pictures, because I was a little concerned that they might tear it down or take it down. Where is Neil? So you guys just go ahead and entertain yourself while I do this, because it's important. I wanted to get a couple of these things out there. Well, I may not find it. Anyways, essentially, drugs killed more people than guns. Alcohol killed more people than guns. Obesity killed more people than guns. Suicide killed more people than guns. So that was essentially the message. Okay. And so not making it's not a judgment. What I'm saying is he stepped outside of his predictability, the AI, that 5,000 points of data that the world had on him. He stepped outside of it because everybody had him clocked, right? He's definitely on our side. If you're a Democrat or a leftist, right? Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's our guy. And then he steps out and he uses numbers and logic, not to defend against. Nobody on the right is saying what happened. None of the Republicans are saying what happened in these horrific events was right or by in any way, shape, or form, something that is excusable in any way. But this country, the Second Amendment, they say it protects our right to bear arms. No, it protects us against a tyrannical government. Y'all, that's what it's there for. And when you compare the sacrifice for the overall multitude of us to be protected and to be able to protect ourselves against a tyrannical government, then you have to look at what is the sacrifice of that. And nobody likes death in any way, shape, or form. Right? I don't want anybody to die. I don't want anybody to die from cancer. I don't want anybody to die of diabetes. I don't want anybody to die of gun violence. I don't want anybody to die of suicide. I fight every motherfucking day to help people that need help. That's what I do all day long. And so in order for us to be able to do that and to come together to ease suffering for people who don't have a choice in this world, to bring down the temperatures, to stop the division. That's what Misfit Nation is all about. That's why we're here. That's why we spend time together. That's why I research this stuff and we have conversations and I reach out and I listen to both sides. So this is simply a conversation about emotions and how they keep us distracted. So when Neil deGrasse Tyson steps out of line, the entire world comes down on him on the left-hand side. And the Republicans are looking going, did Neil deGrasse Tyson just take our side? Like, it fucks everybody's AI up. It fucks everybody's AI up. And then a Republican comes out and he says, we need to go in and we need to handle, put in some more common sense gun laws. And everybody on the Republicans go, what the fuck? And the Democrats are going, are Republicans on our side? Like, this is the idea that you can be so predictable that you can't come down on the right side of an issue because of because it will set you opposed to to the people that surround you is ludicrous. It's ludicrous to me that we can't have our own opinion, that we can't come down and we can't argue it out. Look, discussions need to be had. You know, we should be talking about all of these subjects. We should be having conversations, but we have conversations of distraction. We don't have conversations of completion or solution anymore. We don't have two sides looking out for each other saying, you know what? I disagree with you. You disagree with me. Let's come up with something that improves this, right? What's happened is, y'all, we all abdicated our fucking responsibility to a bunch of people in Washington, D.C. that think that they know better than we do, because we've left them there for fucking 50 years at a time. Because why? Because you wanted to just go about, go and live your life. You wanted to shirk your civic duty. Go back and listen to a speech by, or not listen to, I'm sorry, but go read a speech. And it's not the one that he normally puts out, but it's Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt. Hang on one second. I want you guys to get it exactly right. So it's Theodore Roosevelt talking about civic duty. And the name of the speech was called, just one moment. Go back and read it. There's so many warnings throughout history, y'all, about what's exactly going on right now. Well, it should have been easy for me to remember. It's called The Duties of American Citizenship, and it was written on January 26th, 1883. And I'll just read a short excerpt. Of course, in one sense, the first essential for a man being a good citizen is his possession of the home virtues, of which we think we can call a man by emphatic adjective of manly. In other words, are you taking care of your shit at home? Are you being a good father? Are you being a good husband? Are you being a good wife? Are you being a good mother? Are you being a good friend? Right? That's emphatically where the basis of this country starts with. No man can be a good citizen who is not a good husband and a good father, who is not honest in his dealings with other men and women, faithful. Remember where this is written. I'm not going to go back and be gender fucking specific right now, okay? But no man can be a good citizen who is not a good husband or a good father, who is not honest in his dealings with other men and women, faithful to his friends and fearless in the presence of his foes. Fearless. Jason Young, special fucking services, fearless in the presence of his foes. That is a man that I want to be friends with for the fucking rest of my life, who has not got a sound heart, a sound mind, a sound body, exactly as no amount of attention to civil duties will save a nation if the domestic life is undermined. Where in our life have we allowed domestic life to become undermined? Where? And where are the problems popping up? Or there is lack of rude military virtues, which alone can assure a country's position in the world. In a free republic, the ideal citizen must be one willing and able to take arms for the defense of the flag, exactly as the ideal citizen must be the father of many healthy children. A race must be strong and vigorous. It must be a race of good fighters and good breeders, else its wisdom will come to naught and its virtue be ineffective. And no sweetness and delicacy, no love for appreciation of beauty in art or literature, no capacity, I'm going to read this over again, no capacity for building up material prosperity can possibly atone for the lack of great virile virtues. No love for and appreciation of beauty in art or literature. And we're going to get into art, right, and design. We're going to get into that because this is important. But this is aside from my subject for which I talk, is wish to talk of the attitude of the American citizen in civic life. It ought to be axiomatic in this country that every man must devote a reasonable share of his time to doing his duty in the political life of the community. No man has a right to shirk his political duties under whatever plea of pleasure or business, while such shirking may be pardoned for those of small means, it is entirely unpardonable in those among whom it is most common. In other words, if you have the ability to fucking help and to serve this country, by God, you ought to do it. It will likely look, insofar as the community grows to think rightly, it will likewise grow to regard the young man of means who shirks his duty to the state in time of peace as being only 1 degree worse than the man who shirks it in time of war. A great many of our men in business, or of our young men who are bent on enjoying life, as they have the perfect right to do, if only they do not sacrifice other things to enjoyment, rather plume themselves upon being good citizens if they even vote. Yet voting is the least of their duties. Nothing worth gaining is ever gained without effort. You can no more have freedom without striving and suffering for it than you can win a success as a banker or a lawyer without labor or effort. I'm going to read that again. You can no more have freedom without striving and suffering for it than you can win success as a banker or lawyer without labor or effort. Without self-denial in youth and the display of a ready and alert intelligence in middle age, the people who say that they have not time to attend to politics are simply saying that they are unfit to live in a free community. Whoo, doggy. Whoo, doggy. Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable when that was written, and the time frame and what we have to deal with, and what we are shirking our responsibility. I don't want to talk about politics. What? Why? Why don't you want to talk about politics? Because it makes you feel uncomfortable, right? Because you don't want to stand up for your argument. You don't want to, what happens is you end up in a place, if you can't strengthen your ability to argue your position, you will never strengthen the belief that, or the actions that influence the behavior that enforce and undergird the place that you want to go, the success you want to have. It's a key component of our ability to be able to succeed in life, is our ability to be able to strengthen our arguments through being open-minded and yet firm in our resolve, right? And so if that's the case, then we look back on that and we think about how many people say, I don't want to discuss politics. It's uncomfortable. It's dirty. It's nasty. It's all this other kind of shit. And what happens when you become an unintellectual, I don't know the word for it. Maybe I'm being unintellectual right now. The thing that happens when you are not an intellectual human being is that when your weak, fluffy little idea gets challenged and shows up to be wrong, you resort to name calling, right? You racist, you misogynist, you narcissist, you all blah, 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 blah. It's all the ists that are out there. What's happening is when people get called those names, or when people resort to calling somebody else those names, what has happened is their argument has been destroyed to a point of them having to resort to distracting from the argument. I need a drink of water, y'all, not tequila. It's 10 a.m. somewhere, right? How you guys doing? You guys all sticking with me through this? Oh, that's good. We got a good amount of you guys on here. All right. So again, how does this apply to you? Your civic duty, your ability to be able to argue, knowing and understanding where you're being pitted against somebody else. Where is your attention span being lessened? Are you somebody that can take those 5,000 data points and flash something in front of your eye and you go, "Ooh, shiny thing, squirrel," right? Are you somebody that can look somebody in the eyes? And I was having a conversation with somebody I deeply respect in Atlanta. And one of the things that she told me was, "Jason, you are free." Like it makes me uncomfortable how present you are when we're having a conversation. And I was thinking about that. because I'm intensely interested in the person who's in front of me, no matter who they are. If you're an Uber driver, or if you're the king of fucking Ghana, or the president of wherever, it doesn't really matter to me who you are. I want to be present because that may be the only moment that we have together. It's difficult nowadays to distract me. I used to get distracted in business, and guess what would happen? I lost those companies. I would be distracted. I didn't get the right information. I went off of my gut feelings in business. And guess what? I went bankrupt. I went off of my gut feelings in a lot of different areas. I went with what I thought I knew, with the top of my intellect, instead of going to places where, going to places that with people that had failed, where I was now walking, so that I could avoid those pitfalls, so I could avoid those landmines. And it was arrogant and ignorant at the same exact time, which is dangerous, super dangerous. So they got 5,000 data points on you. And if they pull your string, if they flash up the right ad, if they say the right thing, do you go flying off the handle and get upset without stopping and thinking about, just ask yourself this question, guys. Ask yourself this question before you consume any content from now on. What's their angle? What's their angle? I will clearly tell you what my angle is. My angle, and you've heard me say it before, is that I want every human being on the face of the planet to do my 12-week course, because it levels the fucking playing field between you and other people who are keeping from you the secrets of how to make money, right? That's what I'm going to do. I want business owners that are good people, that are donating to their tubas and to their local communities. I want that person that can only afford to donate $5,000 to make an extra $5 million so they can donate $500,000, right? I have a clear angle on the Bald Avenger show, and for the 12-week program, and for every fucking word that comes out of my mouth. It is to bring good people out of the shadows and help them make more money, so they have more time, more money, so they can do more good. That is my angle. Every word I say, I don't need your fucking money. I need you to invest in yourself, and I need you to learn the principles. Like I said, I snuck through the back door. I'm your emissary. I'm your emissary. I didn't go to fucking fancy schools. I didn't go to all those places. I'm the guy that walked through and went, boom, bumped my head, boom, went bankrupt, boom, got thrown in jail, boom, got all of this stuff. I'm the one that bumped my fucking head so that you guys could pick up that information and go out and do more with it, right? And not just me. There's a lot of people that have great information in the Misfit Nation, not just me. But that's my angle. For the rest of every breath that I take until the day that I fucking die, I'm here to ease suffering on 3 arenas right now, 4 if you count vets, but domestic violence, feeding people, rescue and destruction of the disgusting sex trade, and helping our vets. That's it, and that's going to take hundreds of millions of dollars. And I have a skill set to help people make those hundreds of millions of dollars. So I'm going to use that. That's my fucking angle. You don't like my information. You don't like where I come from. You don't trust me. You don't believe that's the objective. Go the fuck away and go find somebody else. I'm okay with that. Misfit Nation, who's gotten to know me, understands where I'm coming from. And I'm not exactly easy about it. And I'm not exactly not repeating myself tonight for what I've said 5,000 times. So where are you being controlled? Where would you upset the AI just like Neil deGrasse Tyson did? Where would you do it? Where would you upset it? Or where are you being like a puppet? Where are you being played by the information that you're consuming? Do you know the game of money? Do you know the game of relationships? Do you know the game of good health, vitality? Do you know that game? If you don't, where are you getting your information from? Brooke, thank you. It takes some dough to be a superhero. I love that. All right. What else we got? So what do you do? Let's move into that segment, right? What do you do with this information? What do you do with this information? First things first, you have got to strengthen your money game. Okay. I was listening to, I have a somebody that's on hashtag Team Jason. Her name's Francesca Fonzi from South Africa. And this is a woman who genuinely lives in an environment where women are abused, looked at as less than in South Africa. The rape, the abuse, the numbers are through the fucking roof in this country. And this is a woman who has fought against it her entire life. And she said today on this podcast, it was direct. She didn't know the title of what I was going to be talking about tonight. She could have had no idea. And I sometimes have time to watch people's Facebook lives and sometimes I don't. But Tamara Hunter, who's got a heart of gold, I love you, Tamara. And she was interviewing Francesca, which the two teams are cooperating. It's a beautiful thing. But she was interviewing her, and Francesca said a couple of things. She said, what I do for women is I put them in a position for them to have choice. And the best way for them to have choice is for them to have financial capabilities that do not rely on a man. And I thought about that, and I looked back to my mom being thrown downstairs and being thrown through walls, taking her to the hospital, holding her hand, doing dishes for her when her hand was broken, stepping in front of my adopted father, taking her beatings, all that kind of shit. She wanted to leave, but couldn't. She didn't have a choice because of financial reasons, because of the environment, because of law. There's a lot of stuff. But if my mom had a business like she does today, by the way, if she had a business and knew how to run it, then she would have had a choice to leave and not be held captive for financial reasons. Where are you being held captive because you don't know the rules behind the game that is being played around you, that you have been a pawn in somebody else's game this entire fucking time? Because you weren't born in the right zip code, just like me, because you don't have the right last name, just like me, because you don't have the right connections, just like me. Where are you being held captive and how do your choices? Because here's the thing. When you take away your own choices by not learning the right information, by not picking this stuff up, by not fighting for the knowledge that, again, through me or through anybody else out there that's got great information, or for yourself through the fucking library, if that's what it takes, or YouTube or whatever it is. If you choose not to do that, if you don't engage in that activity, you are remaining captive to somebody else's game. I just refuse. It was like when I chose not to commit suicide all those years ago, when I decided not to do that, I said, I'm fucking gonna win this game. I'm gonna win this game. Exactly what I told every single person that was on my team for the next impactor. They thought I was fucking around, but I said, here's the thing you start with. I am going to win, because unless you have that as an objective, you're playing somebody else's game. You step up, you step in, you take responsibility for your own game instead of letting other people tell them, going through life claiming that you've been abused in some way, shape, or form. You've got racism, you've got sexism, you've got misogyny, you've been abused, you've been whatever, beaten. I've been there, y'all. That's why I tend to not take people's excuses. If you're in it and you need out of it, I will fucking put my life on the line to come and get you. But if you're out of it, you're not there anymore. You're no longer a victim. You are a survivor. And it's up to you to take that responsibility and for you to become a survivor for other people, to go back in your civic duty, to go do more than bitch about politics, but go do something about it. Just like January, right? Just like January, she comes out of it. I mean, you heard, if you guys watch the podcast, listen to the podcast, you hear her story. That woman is in bare fucking feet, walking where you wouldn't even dare tread to give people clean needles and shampoo so that they can wash their crotch for the first time in like 6 fucking weeks or 6 days or however long it is. She's walking those streets at midnight. I'm going with her tomorrow or next Tuesday, one of the two to go with her. What are you doing? What are we doing? That's the call. That's the call to action. If you go back through history and you listen to the calls to action at the right exact times, we will fight on the beaches. Right? Winston Churchill. Calls to action. Calls to action that called great men and great women. We're sitting in the middle of it, y'all. There's a transfer of wealth happening. There's a transfer of belief. There are people that are fighting for the cultural heart and soul of this particular country and other countries that are out there. And it's freedom trying to fight through. It's people that are captive financially, physically. It's people that are trying to break free from that captivity. And it's the last breaths. We'll either be tamped back down and put into submission, or we will fight our fucking ways out of this because we're fighting with love and because we refuse to hate each other. That's what's going to happen. Or it won't. Or it won't. And yours and my kid, who are already destined to die younger than we are because of our fucking abdication of duty, will live in captivity of some way, shape, or form. And it may happen, but I'll be damned if I'm going to sit by and watch it fucking happen. I'll be damned if I'm going to sit by. So you want to know why I do this, why I get fired up, why I'm traveling around the country, why I'm doing the shit that I'm doing, when I could very easily just kick back and roll? It's because my kids are dependent on your kids, your grandkids, generations yet unborn are counting on us. Us, the people that are watching this stupid fucking Facebook Live on fucking Monday evening. It's us. That's why the message needs to be shared. Thank you for sharing, but share more. If this is a message that you believe in, if this is something that's helping you out, then get the word out. Get the word out. If it's not mine that you're going to get out anybody's. Pick anybody on here. They're fucking amazing. John Duffy's message, if he's on stage. Mary Viola Vega, if she's on stage. Patricia, any of you. Emily Seelman, any of you. Just get out there and spread this message. Be the message. Be somebody that can be followed, and don't buy into this fucking horse shit of letting people distract you or use people or use your lack of attention span against you. The 5,000 data points, figure out a way, whatever your own 5,000 data points are, figure out how to fuck with your own 5,000 data points. If your favorite color was blue yesterday, why isn't it red today? If your favorite food was a smothered burrito, then why isn't today it's not pizza? Because you want to remain consistent? You want to remain consistent and get the same fucking results that you're getting right now? Maybe you ought to try changing up something as stupid as your fucking favorite color. Maybe you ought to try changing parties. Maybe you don't want to be a Republican. Maybe you want to be a Democrat. Maybe you want to do whatever it is. But try something fucking different. Because we know in the fortune cookie of life, that easy little snap open, oh, look at what I got. It says over here that if I want something different, then I need to do something different. Yes. And it's not fucking easy, or everybody would be doing it. We cannot sit on our asses anymore, y'all. Misfit Nation either stands for something or it doesn't fucking stand for anything. One of the two, right? One of the two. And we are the ones that get to decide. We. Did I miss anything? John Duffy every once in a while just has to put up breathe on the screen. Oh, this is interesting. I'll give you this, and then we'll start to wrap up because it's been an hour. It's called the Ocean. This is how they get these 5,000 data points. It's called Ocean. They rate you on your openness, your conscientiousness, your extroversion, your agreeableness, and your neuroticism. So whatever your combination is on the Ocean metrics is how you're going to be sold to. So if this pen right here that I have, okay, those of you that know what that is will understand what pen this is. But if this pen is shown to Bonnie, right, or Irk, you're going to have a metric that is made up from your openness, your conscientiousness, your extroversion, your agreeableness, and your neuroticism. Okay, I'm sweating like a whore in church. If I went to church, I would. It would be an apt thing. It would be there's that bald whore. So anyway, so that's how they're judging you, and it's your combination. Your Ocean score is how when somebody, you'll be on the phone with somebody and you'll be like, oh yeah, I'd like to go to the Bahamas, right? Think about this. Anybody that's phone was in reach of my voice right now, it'll say, yep, it's Mont Blanc. So we'll say Mont Blanc, right? Mont Blanc pen. I have a Mont Blanc pen. Now your phones are all hearing it. You're going to say it. Just everybody at the same time go Mont Blanc, right? Now I need to get them as a fucking sponsor of the show, right? But what'll happen is you're going to see advertising that's going to pop up because you're predictable, right? You're predictable. I'm predictable. You're predictable. I do everything I possibly can every single day to be unpredictable to the me of yesterday, right? That is why the skull rings. That is why I do the things that I do. I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight. And I refuse to go anywhere. I'm going to be here. I'm just reading my notes to make sure I covered everything. Oh, almost. If I wouldn't have done that, listen to this sentence. People don't want to believe that we are susceptible to propaganda. We don't want to believe it. We don't want to believe that we're susceptible to propaganda. If you ask the question, what's the angle? What do they want? Is that actually true? And do a little bit of research before you just readily accept shit, right? They say it over and over and over again, right? Your favorite color is blue, your favorite color is blue, your favorite color is blue, because eventually you're going to get tired. You're going to get tired of fighting back against with your own cognitive dissonance, right? You're going to get tired of it. And eventually you're going to go, fuck it. My favorite color is blue, So continue to fight back against things that are bullshit. And here's what's bullshit. Anything that pits you and I, reasonable human beings, right? The people we should be pitted against are the ones that are trying to control us, number one. And number two, the people that are purposely inflicting harm on people weaker than them. Those are the two people that I will fight for the rest of my fucking life. It has been at great cost in some arenas. It has been, like I said, there's people that I now sit at a table that I didn't fucking ask to be at, but I ain't going anywhere, right? Because now they can't kick me out. They can't push me away because I'm there. I earned it. And they still live in a day and age where they can't fucking push me away. So I'm here. You guys got somebody at the table? You can use me and get your ass here to the table with me, or sit back and abdicate your responsibility. The choice is up to you. I feel like we're warriors for good, and I feel like we're warriors for a society that needs us to step up so we can break through this nonsense that's happening and love each other, not in a weak way, not in just like, oh, just hug. No, I'll take a bullet because I love you, because our freedoms, because of my children, because of your children, because of our grandchildren, because of those generations yet unborn. They're depending on us to not be distracted and for us to do the right thing, which sometimes costs. Go back and look at the greatest generation and ask yourself why. are they the greatest generation? Because they sacrificed for our dumbasses to fight over the dumb shit that we currently fight over. And I would just as soon honor my grandfather and his memory by leaving this place a better world, even if it cost me some pain or some discomfort in the moment. I would rather leave it a better place to honor his memory and to honor all of those generations that came before us, that died for us, that crawled across deserts, that came across on boats, that sacrificed everything to give you the opportunity to sit around and be a fucking baby. Including me. I'm not just calling everybody babies. I didn't mean that to be directed at anybody specifically, but it's up to us to fight, y'all. I love you, Misfit Nation. Thanks for sharing this message. Thanks for bringing people in. Like I was talking to somebody I was watching, and they were like talking about Oprah and on Facebook Live. They're like, yeah, I'm watching the Oprah podcast, blah, blah, blah. And whoever was on the podcast said, by the way, you need to listen to the Bald Avenger. And I was like, Bald Avenger and Oprah, even if it was on a Facebook Live, I didn't realize, like, Bald Avenger and Oprah in the same sentence. I was like, yes, making our way up. We're going to fight. We're going to get there. So I love you all, Misfit Nation. You guys are amazing. And I will see you next Monday. Actually, this Thursday morning, you're going to find the lady that put me in a position to win in life, Lauren Lahav, who made the phone call. She made 2 calls. She called me a pussy because I didn't want the opportunity that was put in front of me. and she made the call to Tony Robbins to get me a job that changed the course of my life forever. And so I'm going to be interviewing her on Thursday morning at 8 a.m. MST. We'll put that flyer up here. Just come and listen to that talk. She's a brilliant woman. Somebody so strong, somebody that I owe my life to, and it's going to be a great conversation. So again, thank you, Misfit Nation. I love you all very, very much. Go out, love more, fight against, change your fucking algorithms. Don't be predictable, but love and support each other. Peace. Happy Monday.